Hold on. For some reason, my laptop charger has decided it doesn't want to laptop charge.
Have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in?
That's weird. Oh, well. I'm just going to go with it.
Okay, we can just talk really fast.
Yeah, we'll be like that
We can
FedEx
just talk
commercial.
really fast. Did you see the FedEx?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? This is You'll Never Talk Alone. My name is Joseph Craven. I'm your friend Joseph Craven. That's Alex Level. That's Andrew Ainsworth. Guys, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you, Joseph?
All right, pretty good. Cool, thanks. All right, so Liverpool's a soccer team that we all keep up with. We're here to talk about them on the podcast right now. They won a match a few weeks ago, I believe. It was at, I forget the date. I had it in front of me, and then I closed the webpage by accident. So, anyway.
March 17th,
won a match.
Sunday.
There you go.
At Craven Cottage. That's you.
Craven Cottage.
You hosted it. I don't see why you don't remember.
It's astonishing. I forgot. All right, but Liverpool did pull off a victory against Fulham.
I think pull off is the right way to describe that.
Yes. Yes. I mean, to be fair, we did essentially score 3 goals in the match, which I think is pretty good.
It's impressive.
Yeah, so good for us there. But no, for real, a weird, bad match, but able to somehow power through it, make our way into the international break when everyone suddenly decided to relieve themselves from their international responsibilities and return back mysteriously. Strange tactic here, but all right, that Fulham match, we'll talk about it in a second here, but let me get your overall feelings before we get into specifics on where the team stands right now in the league. Obviously, City has a game in hand, but we have the first place ticket as of right now. How are you feeling, Alex? How are your nerves holding up? What's your thought process right now when you're looking at where Liverpool is, and as we get into the last big stretch of the season here?
My nerves were doing absolutely fine until this week, because this week it started to sink in that we're playing Spurs as our first game back from international break. Although some of the players who return from injury or return from international break probably are not injured, we still have some that are injured. I mean, we kind of found out why Shaqiri hasn't been playing. We found out why Keita hasn't been playing. They both didn't. Well, Shaqiri traveled and then came back like as he landed at the airport. Keita didn't even travel. So,
he just loves flying on planes, really.
It's one of the few vehicles that can fit him. So he just likes to get on them at all times. So it's nice to put some pressure on City. It's one of the few games where we will have points above them and play before them in a sense. So I'm excited about that. But this is one of the 2 matches in the rest of the season that is worrying. So I'm getting worried.
Like, how worried? Scale of 1 to 10.
Like, not too worried. We've had a pretty good recent record against Spurs, so I'm not too worried. And it's at home as well, so that will play a big part. But it's still a potential banana skin. It's not really in the sense that it's a place to drop points, but it's not. Usually, banana skin's reserved for like Burnley away, but this is a banana skin considering recent record against Spurs.
I've played Mario Kart. I understand what a banana skin is. Thank you.
Now, see, it's one of those things that's on the outside of a banana.
You just get into the general concept now. Thank you, Alex. That's so kind of you. Andrew, how are you feeling? You feeling about the same as Alex here?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'd have to reiterate everything that he just said. I'd also put in, maybe we can see why Trent has had a bad run in the last couple weeks there, and that's why he came back. We knew that he had some problems, but we didn't know that it was going to stop him from playing. I'm glad it stopped him from playing in the international break. I think I'm a little bit more nervous than Alex is. I'm shaking when I think about it. Nervousness is at an all-time high, and it will only get higher, I guess. I think in the 13-14 season in the run in, I even though the team was much worse, I felt a little bit more confident because we had a couple more points at this stage in the season. We also didn't have this Manchester City team chasing us, which is, one of the best teams to ever play in the Premier League. So,
they're okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's a testament to say how good Liverpool's been also. But I'm nervous and I'm scared, and we're going to win every game. So it's okay.
Yeah, I'd be more nervous if it wasn't for the fact that we're going to win every game.
Yeah.
By like a billion goals.
18 goals.
18 goals. All right, let's talk specifically. We were, laughing beforehand about maybe the predictions made going up against Fulham before the match actually happened. And then whatever that was that happened actually occurred. That was one of the well, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Will Caves has just jumped into the call here, the recording session, right in time to actually discuss the Fulham match. Thank you, Will, for joining us.
I'm the Fulham expert.
Resident Fulham expert Will Caves has jumped in.
Will Caves also more willing to sit through the abomination that was the U.S. men's national team game tonight than we were.
That's why I was late, because I was watching Michael Bradley's mediocre post-game interview. Sorry.
How was the interview?
Well, it's about as vanilla as you can get, which describes Bradley to a T.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Did you see the vein sticking out the side of his head?
Yes. It's so weird.
Like an anime character.
Huge. It's like angry. It reminds me if you want to go way back, did y'all ever watch All That? Principal Pimpel.
Yeah.
And that that's what it reminds me of.
Wow.
I went there.
That's the first All That reference I've heard in a while.
It's coming back.
Yeah, it is. I know, which is not the best thing, not the best idea I've ever heard, but it's coming back. All right, whatever.
As long as Lori Beth Denberg comes back. Sorry, I've derailed everything. I apologize.
I'm about to kick you off just for praising Lori Beth Denberg. I had a weird childhood vendetta against Lori Beth Denberg watching All That back in the day. I was just like, what is she even trying to do out there?
Well, when she listens to this episode, I hope she'll tweet us at YNTA Podcast.
She's going to be pissed at me. She's going to be so pissed. Fulham had been in a run of 5 straight losses. And Liverpool was somehow able to add one more loss to that. Somehow. That particular match, we were really hoping for a better performance all in all out of it. Alex, what did you see in that, I don't know, abomination? Is that too strong a word for the Fulham match? I don't know. What did you see in that match? What's your assessment of what happened in the game? Like if you had to sum it up for somebody who, watched it when it was on a couple weeks ago and has now kind of forgotten what happened.
Oh, you mean like me? Because
yes.
It's just been so long, and I guess it was so stressful overall that I don't really remember the bits and pieces as well. I remember just the feeling of clenching, and just like I had to drive to a men's league game for the second half of the second half, and just like white knuckling the steering wheel. That's really what I remember. I mean, it wasn't fluid. It didn't click. I mean, Salah, there was all that debate. I mean, he played well. He got into good areas. He couldn't finish to save his life. Mm-hmm. But again, Sadio Mane stepping up, filling the void. What a lovely goal that was. I mean, it just didn't seem all there. It was like we think we can beat this team because we know they're not good. We know we're about to go into an international break. We may not have the most unified 11 out there that we can, even though we generally did. We just didn't have a lot of good individual performances, which led to a poor collective performance. And it seems like when we don't have like the equivalent of in America, the 9 a.m. kickoff, we struggle. And this was one of those times where we didn't have that kickoff, 9 a.m. on Saturday. So it just was labored, I think is probably the best way to describe it.
Was there much of anything positive, Andrew, that you can really remember? Any particular like individual performance? I mean, we already mentioned Sadio Mane, but was there anything else that you can really recall that stands out to you as being a positive from such a weird match?
I mean, you've got to call out Mane in this case again. You know, after the last 5-10 matches in a row where he's been the best player on the pitch every single game. I mean, up until the goal, the defense was looking good. Then Van Dijk just, I don't know, Milner comes on, slices it like he likes to say. Van Dijk misses the header. Alisson's just not there. It's just something there happened where they were just, no one was paying attention. There wasn't a great performance by anyone. I mean, you know, James Milner coming on, getting the goal to win it. Always got to call him out for being a specialist at penalties. What is it, like 12 of 13 right now for Liverpool, which is very impressive, even if it's just penalties.
I mean, it's better than Messi does on penalties. Am I right?
Yeah,
that guy.
We actually got a penalty.
I mean, yeah, one player's Milner and the other player's Messi. One player plays on the greatest team in the world, and the other one plays for Barcelona. So, I hate myself.
Oh man. Oh goodness. The you know, one of the biggest storylines going on with the team right now is obviously the criticism directed towards I mean, it's been going on for a little while, the kind of lack of goal scoring that we really have become known for. But the criticism going towards players like Mohamed Salah in particular. Will your boy, Sadio Mane, not struggling right now, playing quite well. He had a stretch earlier in the season where he was, you know, a little bit off, and it seemed the rest of the team picked it up. Seems like the forwards are kind of taking turns right now. What's your assessment on the Liverpool attack right now? I mean, are you okay with the fact that things are fluctuating like they are as long as somebody's picking up the slack, or do you need to see a little bit more so you feel more comfortable?
Well, obviously, in their new contracts that they all signed, it said somewhere in there that you can't all play well at the same time.
Right.
Because since that happened, they've at least one of them has been crap. I'm not worried, no, because we are still winning. Even though we drew a couple of games, it wasn't like Mane was still scoring, so technically it wasn't always their fault per se. But it wasn't their fault as a collective, I mean, per se. But, you know, I wish that they would all kick it into gear in the run-in. I mean, we have 7 games. I don't think Salah will go 7 more games. Well, it's at least 9 games because we'll have 2 legs in the Champions League. So he won't go 9 games without scoring. He will start scoring again. Firmino's got a couple in him left. I do think Mane will taper off a little bit just because it'd be really tough for him to maintain his current form for another 2 months. But, you know, you never know. It could work out really well. It could take us to the title. It could take us to the Champions League final. But I'm not worried, no.
All right. Well, if you're not worried, I'm not worried. That's it for this podcast. We're out of here. Good to see everyone. No, it is. I guess I don't know. I feel like I understand the frustrations to an extent on the people that really want everyone clicking all at once, because obviously that's a lot better than the alternative.
Oh, you asked me if I was worried, not if I was frustrated. My God, am I frustrated?
Okay.
It's
Right.
like it is frustrating to see Salah like try to force things constantly, because I mean he does need a goal. Like every striker just needs one goal. Like I wish if we got a penalty they'd just let him take it. Like let him put the ball in the net just to get him going. But he tries to force things so much, and it just ends up turning over the ball over and over and over again. And now I will say he is assisting Mane. He has a couple of times, but it's just like, dude, just chill out. It's coming. Like, everybody chill out. We're good.
Let the game come to you. Let the game come to you. As frustrating as it is, but hey, shoot or shoot. Am I right, guys?
Right.
With all that in mind, I mean, when we look back on this match and the vacation that our players have taken during this international break, with all of that in mind, what is it going to take to be able to see this thing out? I mean, obviously we joked about, well, no, we didn't joke. Andrew and I are both serious. We're winning the rest of the matches this season. But we made a comment about that. Is that what it's going to take? Just winning everything? I mean, what is it going to take out of the team? I mean, is what I was trying to ask. And then I forgot what I was saying halfway through it. What's it going to take from the team to just keep winning? I mean, do you think we can keep going ugly like this, Alex, or are we going to have to pretty things up a little bit more?
I think we will be able to keep going ugly like this because it's going to have to be that way a lot of the time. Most of the teams we're going to play are not going to invite us to play in any sense. So we're going to just have to keep grinding. Whatever we do, we cannot get sucked into the trap of always play it out to Andy or Trent, always them try to cross it in, because the success rate of that is minuscule at best. So we just need to keep our heads when things start getting a little tough, when maybe it's the 70th minute and it's 0-0 or 1-1 against a team that's clearly inferior than us. Unfortunately, I do think it is going to take winning at least 6 of the 7 games left in the league season. Hopefully not the last game of the season, but I think that's doable because we're in a position where the other biggest factor that we need from the team in the latter half of the season is people coming back from injury. We need some subs. We need some rotation. We need X factors able to come in off the bench, because there's been a lot of times in the past few weeks where we've looked to the bench and nothing's really changed. Nobody's come off. We haven't seen anyone there that when things aren't going the way we need them to go, that we can bring them in and they change the game. They can take control of the game and provide a spark. So, yeah, it's just going to take focus and not being Liverpool in the sense that you get injured anytime you think about a muscle.
What part of the body? Oh, it's called a hamstring.
There it goes.
He pulled it. He pulled it. I just thought of this question. I want to hear Andrew's answer to it because I feel like he's the only one I can trust to answer this. No, if you had to one player that you trust to will the team along during these ugly matches, during this ugly stretch, who's the player you trust the most right now? We talk a lot on the podcast about not trusting Dejan Lovren, not trusting Lallana off the bench. We talk about the negative stuff. Who's the player that you would trust if you just needed someone to will us to a victory?
Well, other than Van Dijk, just because I feel like he's the clear-cut answer for everyone in that situation, no matter who is healthy and who's playing at what rate.
Yeah, long may he reign.
Yep. I'd have to go with, right now would be Genie. He's been consistent all year long. He's hasn't really had but 1 or 2 bad games all season. He plays 90 minutes. He's been that guy that's been the only real consistent piece other than Allison and Van Dijk that's been consistent all season long. And I mean, you can see that with Van Dijk, Allison, Genie, and then either Bobby or Mo or Mane up front, depending on who's in that position at that time. That having that spine to the team that we haven't had since 2008 really changes things. It really makes it where you can swing it out wide, and we don't want to have to rely on it too much, but we are able to send it out wide to Andy or over to Trent and swing it in. But we also have Genie in the center running up and down the pitch, being the guy that's there to intercept and pass along. So yeah, I'd have to go with Genie. Surprisingly, I wouldn't have ever picked him back in August.
No, I don't think I would have either. That's a solid pick. I like that a lot. Let's look down the line a little bit here. Turning to you now, Will, as I run down the line and all of our contributors. Looking a little bit down the line on the schedule, obviously we've got Tottenham that we will talk about in a little bit here. We've got Chelsea on April 14th. But outside of that, who do you think would be a team that you could see us like struggling against? If you had to pick like a wild card match out of all of the teams, the Southampton and Cardiff and Huddersfield and Newcastle and Wolves, like out of all of that, is there a wild card that you look at and you'd be like, I could see that being like the trap game, the trap match that we, somehow mess it up in? You know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Newcastle. It's absolutely Newcastle.
Yeah.
We play. Looking at the fixtures, we will have consecutively beaten Tottenham, Southampton, Porto, Chelsea, Porto again, Cardiff, and Huddersfield in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to Newcastle and draw 0-0. It's like, I'll go ahead and make that prediction. That's going to happen. And we're going to drop points at some point, and it's going to be at Newcastle. I just feel it in my bones.
Well, I was going to ask, like, if you had a particular reason why, or is it
just no, but like that's just like we may go smash them, but I just have a feeling like I never feel confident when we play Crystal Palace. I never feel confident when we play West Ham. Never feel confident when we play Newcastle. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because of that John Joe Shelby masterclass a couple of years ago where he scored and assisted every goal on both teams. Like it I don't know, but I just don't feel good about that game.
I like it. I mean, obviously I don't like it, but I like it.
Drop points, yes, good.
Yeah, solid. I'm down with that. I love the fact that it's at the end of the season, so it adds to the stress. Good call. Thanks, Will.
Oh, yeah. Zach's going to explode when the final whistle blows and it's 1-1. He's just going to die.
He will actually die. We're going to have an end of the season, like in memorial of Zach. Might have to do that anyway. How often he's been sick during the season. Right. Now that I think about it, he couldn't join us tonight because he's sick again. Oh, man. Only an idiot works at a school around all those germs. Gross. Okay. Tottenham's coming up on the 31st. Right now, these are obviously between them and Chelsea, these are two of the scariest opponents that we have left. But Tottenham in particular had that stretch in there where they looked like they could be the third team in a 3-team title race between Liverpool and City and then the Hotspurs. Fell off on that just a little bit. Had a little string of disappointments that put them down a little bit farther. I'm pulling up their schedule right now. Obviously, it's hard to keep pace with two teams like Liverpool and City. So some of that is not necessarily like their fault in just kind of letting points get away from them. But when you have, losses to Burnley, Chelsea, a draw against Arsenal, let's see, a loss to Southampton. When you have all of that happening throughout February and March, you're not doing yourselves any favors. So definitely hurts them there. Looking at this matchup, though, Alex, you're always the resident scout. Tell us a little bit about Tottenham right now and where they sit in their current run of form. A loss, win, draw, loss from what I'm looking at right here. Tell us a little bit about Tottenham.
Yeah, they've been pretty inconsistent. And weirdly enough, it's been when Harry Kane came back from injury. They kind of had a good thing going when they had Heung-min Son up top. But now that Kane is back, everyone's having to adjust. Son's form's dropped off. Eriksen hasn't shined like he usually does. They had found kind of a midfield balance and that has kind of gone out the window as well. Plus, Eric Dyer just picked up an injury on international break, and I feel certain he would have started had he been fit. He might still start. I don't know how serious the injury is, but he's one to get in there and destroy things because he's a big old boy. But their defense hasn't looked very solid. Trippier has been crap this season. Aurier is crap most of the time. And it's just what had been their strength in defensive solidity is not really there anymore. Plus, Lloris has won the World Cup, and now he is Mignolet, just pulling things everywhere and just not all that great. So I don't know. They have the players to trouble us, but at the same time, they don't have the form and they won't have the circumstances going their way. Had this been a game at the first game at their new stadium, I would be a lot more worried. I'm still worried, but a lot of the circumstances around this match go in our favor, and I'm looking forward to it in as much as it might not be as stressful as, say, limping over the line against Fulham.
Right.
We just have to be switched on, like we said earlier. There's no room to let up against players with as much quality as they have on their team, especially in attack. Don't let them have set pieces around the box.
Right. Well, I mean, for the most part, historically speaking, for Liverpool, you shouldn't let anyone ever have set pieces around the box. But I'm glad that we're better at that than we were. Andrew, looking at Tottenham, what do you think it's going to take out of this Liverpool squad to pull off a much-needed victory against a difficult opponent?
I think everyone's going to be up for it, especially after the international break, getting a little rest. The England player, Henderson, the only England player.
Yes, he is the one.
Yeah, he played 90 minutes both games, or did he come in?
He came off the bench
half?
Against Montenegro and got an assist.
Yeah,
but he came off the bench in the first minute and then promptly played 90.
Yeah. So I mean, he could get rested, but he hasn't typically been in our starting lineup every single time that we have a big opponent. So I'm not too worried about needing some sort of motivation for the game and for players being tired. I'm really just worried about finishing. Without Mane, we've been shit at finishing the last 4 or 5 weeks. So we could be in for some trouble, but I'm hoping it's another one of those Tottenham Liverpool games at Anfield where they just get blown out in the first 25 minutes and they're trying to catch up the rest of the game.
Yeah, a home match is always beneficial. Will, obviously Liverpool has a better defensive record on the season so far anyway, but as Alex pointed out, Tottenham has been having some defensive struggles as of late that have not been helping them out at all. If you had to put on your prediction cap in terms of what sort of thing we'll see from these two teams, what would you venture to guess in terms of what sort of match this will be, knowing that, Tottenham, neither team has necessarily been playing on, top gear, but it's affected Tottenham a lot more negatively, it seems.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Tottenham has gone from being in a 3-horse race for the title, what kind of being in a 3-horse race for the title, to now possibly not even making it into the Champions League, such as their form dropped. I think that this game matters a lot to both teams, and so I think you'll see probably maybe a slow build, but eventually it'll get end to end before the final whistle. Both teams need this win, and so I think it'll be a fun game. It won't be. I like playing Tottenham. There's always goals in it. We don't always get the result, but it's as long as Lovren doesn't get chipped and destroyed like that one time, it'll be all right.
Such fond memories. Such fond memories. do you think that the maybe the do you think they'll find any extra motivation? Obviously, like you said, it's a must win because they want to hang on to a Champions League spot. Do you think they'll find any extra motivation in like trying to defeat Liverpool just for the sake of messing with Liverpool's title chances?
No, I don't. I mean, like, I think obviously none of us we've been to England, but like we don't really live in England. So like I feel like the general consensus though on Twitter at least is that people hate Liverpool fans. And I feel like I hate Liverpool fans, but I feel like most everybody would say like, gosh, can anybody but Liverpool win this title? We'll never hear the end of it. And so I think for that, just because we will be insufferable, I know I will be insufferable, that if we win, I think that that's kind of a motivation, but the players don't care about that. I think they just want to win. They want to secure the Champions League again. For Tottenham and for Liverpool, recently we've been all right, but for both teams, it's not really guaranteed. It hasn't been over the past decade. So I think that, this game, like I said, is important. And I think the extra motivation will come from just what they could potentially be missing out on next year. It would really suck for any team to go to the quarterfinals of a competition and then not qualify for it the following year.
Yeah.
So
how much like public streaking are you going to do if Liverpool wins the title? Like how arrested will you get yourself?
Very. No, I don't.
How many horses will you punch?
We're going to celebrate this thing Boston style.
Yeah. I don't. I'm more of a light pole climber myself, Philly style. So like no, I don't. I will for sure wake up my child if it's an early game, and my wife probably. My brother is an Arsenal fan, and I will troll him relentlessly.
Good.
I mean, you've earned the right to do that anyway.
Yeah, right. But it's gonna be. I can't even really think about it, honestly. Like I haven't really. That reaction will be so visceral. Like I don't think I can plan it out.
Nor should you. All right, let's get those actual predictions in there, I guess. Whew. I'm not sure I'm ready to try to predict this match. Alex, we'll turn it back over to you at the top of the batting order here. Coming up, the 31st, 10:30 a.m. Central Time, Liverpool and Tottenham. What's your prediction?
It's going to be terrible. I'm going to hate every second of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a lot of thankfully, it's Sunday during Lent. So, I gave up swearing for Lent, but that's kind of the cheat day. And it's very fortunate for me because it's going to be a lot of that. Throwing stuff. It's not going to be pleasant. But I think we're going to win 3-2. I think we're going to see a red card in this. We're going to see I feel like one of the goals is going to be offsides again because that's what happened last time at home. So, it's just not going to be pleasant. It's going to be it's going to be a match that makes talking about it next week very like anger generating.
You got a score line, you think?
Yeah, 3-2 win.
3-2. Okay, good. I somehow missed that part. Whew. All right. Andrew, how about you?
I'm gonna go 2-1. Andy, Mo, and Kane.
Andy.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
All right.
I just really want him to get his goal.
Yeah, he
He's
needs
so
it.
many times.
He's due. He's just overdue.
Got to pay for them teeth.
Is it getting the Brendan Rodgers treatment?
He got step one.
Will, how about you?
3-1 us, Bobby and Mo.
Who does Mo get to, or does Bobby get to?
Yes. I don't. I feel like Bobby's going to get 2, but Bobby and Mo.
All right. I'm going to go with another stressful, heart-wrenching 2-1. and I think that Mane gets them both.
Nice.
There you go. Continue that run of form. All right, you know the drill by now. You need to tweet at us with your own scoreline predictions, so on and so forth. Let us know what you think is going to happen in this matchup against Spurs coming up this weekend. If you find us on Twitter at YNTA Podcast, you probably know that by now, but if you somehow discovered the podcast without finding us on Twitter, then good for you. I don't know how you pulled that off, but you're a very special listener for doing so. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. Stay tuned because very soon we're going to throw out a special episode, a little bonus episode that we're actually just going to record as soon as we're done recording this one. So, in which we start discussing some of our all-time favorite players of the sport in general, not just Liverpool related. Just a little extra, listening fun for those of you that are curious about our backgrounds with the sport. Here's a spoiler alert. My background is very shallow. So, all right. I'm your friend Joseph Craven. Say bye, Alex.
Bye, Alex.
Say bye, Will.
Bye, Alex.
Andrew, sign us off, please.
Oh.
Thank you for listening to this episode of You'll Never Talk Alone.